So today's session is on renewable energy and related power plants. So hopefully you understand our conventional power plant, that is hydroelectric, thermal power plant, the nuclear power plant, and the renewable kind of power plant, that is a solar. But in solar power plant there are variety of plants, and in a previous lecture we saw only the water freon kind of solar power plant. So today we will cover other renewable energies and related power plants. So let's start today's video. So why there is a need to search alternative or other energy sources? So we know that we are lagging in the field of energy generation, because we normally heard that there is a power loss or power failure or load shedding. So it means we are not bridging the gap in between demand and supply. So whatever be the demand is there in our country, we are not fulfilling that much by generating the electric power. So that is the one reason. And then second is depletion of conventional energy sources. So what it means? So depletion means obviously it is going to consume whatever be the coal or oil resources we have. So all these are formed after 100 years. So whatever be the energy sources, conventional energy sources are there, they are consuming day by day, and obviously they are going to be exhausted. So after completely exhausting all these conventional sources, so before that we should shift to some other energy sources, because these are the conventional sources and are definitely going to deplete, exhausted very soon. So that is the first reason we are looking for the alternative energy. And second reason, whatever be the conventional energy sources we have, that all are almost hazardous to the environment, hazardous in the form of air pollution, soil pollution, water pollution, or even though thermal energy pollution. So thermal pollution, and the most adverse effect we are observing about the thermal pollution, that is a global warming. So there are two reasons. First, our conventional sources going to be depleted soon. Second, whatever be the conventional energy sources are hazardous to the environment, so that we should shift some other alternative energy sources which will help to reduce the dependency on conventional energy and to reduce the environment pollution or thermal emissions. Okay, so that is the need. Then we will see what is the impact of that fossil fuel. So because of this fossil fuel, our complete globe Earth is facing the problem of global warming, and now the adverse effect come forward. So we are observing that glacier get melted, sea level is increased, and all this. Even though our environment temperature get increased, seasons are nowadays it cannot be predicted. Okay, so all these impacts are due to the global warming. Now we will see what are the thermal power plants, that major thermal power plants in India. So these are the list. So Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, Delhi, then second side Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and all. So these are the thermal power plants. And thermal power plants, when I am saying that, means it is working on a coal, most probably the coal as a fuel. And our total power generating capacity is 8545 megawatt. Then the drawback of these thermal power plants. So suppose it is a one study where it is concluded that suppose I am generating a 350 megawatt in any thermal power plant where coal is using. So to generate a 350 megawatt, I observe that when I use a coal, then during generating energy about 75 tons of SO2 emission is there, which is we are supplied or transferred to our environment. Then about 16 tons of NOx, this is the pollutant which is transferred into the environment, and the about 5 tons of ash is there. And obviously ash is a non-productive material, and wherever we are discard this or destroy, so obviously it will be polluting our land, and that land will lose its productivity. And if we are talking about a heat, so about 60% heat is dissipated into the atmosphere. Up to 40% it get converted into power generation, but about 60% it is dissipated into the atmosphere. That means there is a thermal pollution, thermal emissions. Okay. Now suppose we are talking about our total power generation 8545, that is thermal power plant, which we have a capacity in India. So 8545 megawatt energy, and this is we are talking about only one day, that is a per day. So per day we are facing the problem of 1831 ton of SO2, 390 tons of NOx, and 122 ton of ash. So this much pollution is there in a single day. Okay. And definitely to generate this much amount of power, whatever be the heat energy evolved, about 60% is going to be waste, and that will be affect the thermal emissions. So global warming, one of the biggest factor. Now we will see some nuclear power plant in India. So these are the major nuclear power plant which run in India. So in Maharashtra, Tarapur atomic power station is there. Likewise, Rajasthan, Chennai, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, and Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. So total power generating capacity by using this nuclear power plant is 3660 megawatt. Now, there are also some drawback of a nuclear power plant. First, everyone knows that radioactive radiations. Second, there is a drawback. We can't destroy our radioactive waste. There is some guidelines, there is some process through which we have to destroy our whatever be the radioactive waste. Then it may be any parts, material, it may be any fluid, it may be your circulating working fluid. So whatever be the material which come in, which is affected by the radioactivity, so we can't throw it as it is into the atmosphere or into the land or water. There is some certain process through which we have to destroy it, and that is the biggest hurdle. So that a nuclear power plant having that is the biggest drawback. And next, thermal pollution, obviously, because lot of heat is generated, and that some of heat is definitely wasted into the atmosphere. So thermal pollution is definitely there. So all these drawbacks are there. First, depletion. Second, obviously, we have to control our global warming and pollution. And third, we should shift to some energy sources which can be regenerated. So that is called the renewable. Okay. So in renewable energy sources, it is categorized into solar energy, then wind energy, then geothermal energy, then ocean energy, and biomass energy. So renewable energy sources are categorized into this much, 5 categories. Now we will see solar energy. So everyone knows that solar energy we received free of cost. We did not need to pay anything. Okay. And if if we are able to convert 5% of this receiving energy, solar energy, then that 5% of solar energy conversion will be equivalent to 50 times what we are using right now. So whatever be the energy requirement of the world or we are producing globe wise, so if even 5% of solar energy get converted into electric power, then it will be going to be a 50 times what we are producing right now throughout the globe. And wind energy, so the minimum requirement of wind flow or wind velocity is 3 meter per second. If you are going to erect any windmill power plant, or you are try to convert wind energy into the electric power, then at least minimum wind speed should be 3 meter per second. Okay. Next, geothermal. What is the geothermal? So whatever be the energy store in the earth globe. So how it is stored? So obviously we know that there is a molten mass at the center core, and because of that uh, uh, heat sources are developed, and that heat sources in terms of gases or hot water. So if we can use that energy of hot water or that hot steam or hot gases to convert into the electrical energy, then that all kind of sources are known as a geothermal energy. Okay, it having a lot of potential, and in many countries already it is using. So New Zealand, USA, Japan, and all this. So already they using some power plant to generate electric power by using a geothermal energy. Then sea energy. So sea energy, we know that there is a tidals. So high tide and low tide. So during this high tide and low tide, we can convert this tidal energy into the electrical energy. Secondly, we observe that there are waves, correct? So we can convert this wave energy into the power also. And next, ocean thermal energy. So as we know that any heat engine is used or it is work in between the two heat sources. One is a heat reservoir, high temperature reservoir, that is a heat source, and second is a heat sink. So in ocean thermal energy, we utilize this temperature difference. So ocean thermal energy conversion utilize the temperature difference between warm surface of sea water about 28 degrees centigrade and cold deep sea water at about 5 to 7 degrees centigrade. Okay, so we using surface water as a heat source, and we using a deep sea water as a heat sink, and we can use this temperature difference to generate a power. And that is the one energy source. So that is called ocean thermal energy sources. Next, biomass energy. So everyone knows what is the biomass. So biomass is nothing but any living thing, and during its life, it store energy, that is solar energy. Suppose we are talking about a plant, so plant will store a solar energy in the form of chemical composition. When that plant get died, then whatever with the wood, if we burn that, so whatever with the solar energy store in that organic material as a chemical composition, during burning, that chemical composition will be released in the heat energy. If such wood or organic material is get buried in a soil, and after 100 year or 1000 year, it get converted into coal. If we still remain as it is, then it will convert it into oil sources. Okay, so all these biomass are another energy sources. Now we will see some uh, basic of wind origin. So wind flow is there on the basis of either planetary conditions, that is called as a planetary wind. So we know that north and south pole are colder, correct? Colder than tropical regions. So what happened? Whatever be the central region, that is a tropical region, so it is always remain at a high temperature. So in air, it is forming a low pressure region. So these air in a tropical region having a low density. So cold air from pole region will travel, shifted this low density air, and low density air will shift it to. So like that we get wind flow. So this wind flow can be utilized as an energy source to produce a power with the help of windmill. Secondly, local winds. We know that in a daytime, whatever be the solar energy incident on a soil as well as sea, so soil easily get heat up as compared to sea water. So during daytime, we observe soil having a higher temperature. So due to this, the whatever be the air is there, so this air get heated and its density reduces. So wind flow is observed from cold region, that is a sea region, to warm region, that is a soil region, in a daytime. But when in a night time, so soil get loses its heat very fastly as compared to sea. So in night time we observe that cold region is there at a soil, and at sea level it is remain warm. So cold air will then shifted or transfer from soil region to sea level. So this wind flow can be utilized to generate a power with the help of windmills. So there are two kinds of winds: planetary winds or local winds. Planetary winds because of poles and tropical regions temperature difference, and local winds because of soil and sea level temperature difference. Now the fossil fuel and global warming, we will see what is the relation in this. Okay. So first we will see how the thermal power plant works. So thermal power plant having one boiler, one furnace where we burn coal. So this is a furnace. This is a forced draft fan. In your syllabus, it is not expected that much details, but this is a overall thermal power plant. So we have one boiler where water is there, and then we put some fuel. Suppose it is a coal, then coal get burned, and whatever be the burning heat is there, that heat is supplied to the water. So when heat is supplied to the water, then steam is generated, and whatever be the exhaust gases are there, that exhaust gases will pass through and exhausted into the atmosphere. But before it is exhausted into the atmosphere, whatever be the remaining residual heat is there, we have to utilize. So we use this exhaust hot gases to preheat incoming water. Then whatever be the remaining heat of that exhaust gases, we use to preheat incoming air, so that total amount of fuel burn is saved by saving the energy at economizer and air preheater. And in last, whatever be the remaining amount of heat, exhaust gases with that amount of heat is exhausted into the atmosphere. But during this burning or heat supply, we observe that about 40% heat get converted into actual power generation, and about 60% heat is wasted and directly dissipated into atmosphere, and which is the reason of our global warming. we are going to compare between a conventional and any renewable energy power plant. So this comparison, it is just on the basis of some statistics. Okay, suppose we want to generate electric power, so obviously we have to supply some input. Then there must be energy conversion unit where we can convert that input energy into the desirable output energy, and our desirable output energy is nothing but electrical power. Suppose we are producing output energy, suppose 1 megawatt. Okay, but firstly we are going to use conventional fuel. So energy sources are conventional. That means it may be a coal, it may be a any gases, LPG, CNG, or any other burning gases. It may be conventional oils. So input will be our coal, oil, natural gas, or nuclear fuel. Okay, to generate a 1 megawatt power, now there will be one energy conversion unit. That means any power plant where we supply that fuel, and due to that heat generation we are able to generate a power. But during all this process we observe that about 60% heat is wasted and transferred to the atmosphere without doing any work done. So we are doing power generation 1 megawatt, but during this whole process heat is wasted, dissipated by directly by radiation, by convection, or by through exhaust gas emission. So about 60 to 70% heat is lost without using or without converting into electric power, and 30 to 40% only converted into electric power. So by using this 30 to 40%, we are generating 1 megawatt, and about 60 to 70% get wasted. So using conventional energy sources, we are wasting 60 to 70% energy, and only 30 to 40% is utilized. Correct? Now suppose for the same 1 megawatt energy, if I am using any renewable energy, non-conventional energy. So what are the different sources of non-conventional energy? So maybe I use solar, wind, ocean energy, geothermal, or biomass. Now in this, when I use any non-conventional energy power plant, so it will have a conversion unit, but it don't have any waste energy. Suppose I am using a wind energy, so whatever be the wind flow is there, so according to this windmill capacity, it will generate a power. If I am using solar energy, whatever be the solar incident on this parabolic collector, that will get converted into output electrical energy. So 1 megawatt will be there, but there is zero waste of energy. Okay, and whatever be the energy required to generate 1 megawatt, it will be remain as it is, 30 to 40%. So non-conventional energy, whatever be the waste energy is there, that part is eliminated. So it is always prefer that to go for a non-conventional energy. Now we will see some power plants. So in a previous video we saw that water Freon power plant. There is second power plant that is called tower power plant. So tower solar power plant. So it having a one tower, huge height tower, and on that tower at the top there is a one brine solution tank is provided, and above that there is one receiver, reflected receiver is there, and on the ground we provide helipads, mirror reflectors. Okay, and these reflectors all over the grounds, and all are set in a such angle so that they will transmit solar energy to the center of that tower. And whatever be the brine solution, it is used to run the power plant. So there is a two tanks, hot brine solution tank. Then that hot brine solution will be utilized to run the generator. Then whatever be the exhausted brine solution is there, it will shift it to another tank, and then it will be shifted to again tower. So these are the basic construction. Now we will see how it is going to work. After power generation, everyone knows now we have to step up that transformer. Then with the help of HT lines, we will shift to the various distribution points. So let's see. Suppose sun rays are incident on that reflector, and that reflector will reflect all that incident rays solar energy to the tower. And when this energy is concentrated on tower, so this receiving heat is utilized to heat up this brine solution. So brine solution become a hot, then hot brine solution supplied to the hot brine solution tank. From that hot brine solution tank, it is shifted through heat exchanger. Obviously brine solution cannot become a steam, okay, so it having a higher temperature, so that heat is utilized to generate a steam. So hot brine solution is shifted to heat exchanger, and the cold water entering to this heat exchanger. There is a heat exchange between this hot brine solution to this cold water. So cold water get converted into steam. Then whatever be the exhausted brine solution, we cannot afford to lose it, so we condense it, liquefied it, and then store into another tank, liquid brine solution, and then we recirculate it to the tower. So brine solution continuously circulating like this. So cold brine solution reach to tower, it get heated, become a hot brine solution, then shifted and deliver its heat when it pass through the heat exchanger. And it heat exchanger, whatever be the incoming water is there, it get converted into steam, and that steam will use to run the steam turbine. And definitely steam turbine will couple with a generator, so it will generate electric power. And that electric power then step up in a step up transformer, and with the help of HT lines we supplied it to various distribution points. So this is another type of solar power plant, that is a tower solar power plant. Now we will see windmill power plant. So the basic requirement of windmill is we require a free area. That means there should not be any locality, any building construction, because all these things going to abstract the wind flow. Okay, so we must normally have a free area, free zone, and it is normally observed that windmill is erected at a hilly area, because there is no such kind of abstraction in the way of a wind. So normally we observe windmills at a hilly area. So in hilly area, we have to first construct a very cement concrete blocks, that is a base. Then on that there is one tower, then one gearbox, yak arrangement, and all this. So nacelle arrangement is there. Then windmill blades, and every tower having there its own energy storing device individual, because it is not possible to shift all the energy generated by windmill directly to the main receiving center. So every tower having its own individual receiving center, and then from individual receiving center it is shifted to the main receiving center, because only single windmill is not sufficient to generate that much amount of energy. And then from main energy sources, definitely we will shift to transformer unit, step up transformer unit to step up the energy, and then with the help of HT lines we shift all this energy to various distribution point. But as I said, only one tower is not sufficient, so there are always a series of number of towers, and each tower having its own energy, and all that tower supplying its energy to main receiving center. Now all these number of towers will help to generate power, and that generated power supply to main receiving center. Now main receiving center having a lot of energy, it may sufficient to supply or to fulfill the need of any village or any city. Then all these energy is transmit to locality population with the help of HT transmission line. So this kind of solar power plant work. Then we will talk about tidal energy. Okay, so we know that there is a high tide and low tide. I think PC get hang, so give me a second. Hopefully you understand up to this what is a solar energy. Yes, it is taking some time. I think PC get hang. So have a patience. Give me a few minutes. So we reach to this. Okay. So in tidal energy, we know that there is a high tide and low tide, correct? So how to convert this high tide and low tide into the electrical energy? So we observe that there is some specific catchment area should be there, okay? And in that area we build some dam kind of structure, and when there is a high tide, so in that dam kind of that partition we provide one turbine, obviously water turbine, and this turbine mechanical energy is coupled to the generator unit, and this generator will generate the power then. Okay, now that generated power definitely we have to transform to step up transformer, and then with the help of HT transmission line we shift it to various distribution point. Okay, now what happened due to the sun conditions, we observe that there is a high tide and low tide. High tide, that means sea water level increases. So when during high tide sea water level increases, so whatever be the water is there increase in level, we allow to transmit through this tidal energy power plant. So when there is a sufficient pressure, remember, until this high tide reach to certain height, we are not opening the gate to this turbine, because water must have that much potential energy head. So now suppose this much water level is there, rises. Now we will open this gate, and as soon as we open the gate, water having that much potential energy, it will flow through that turbine region. Turbine will rotate, and as turbine is rotate, mechanical energy is obtained. That mechanical energy is supplied to the generator unit, and generator generate the powers, correct? And this is continue. And suppose due to high tide, suppose level is reached to up to the height of our construction, that dam construction, but it will make it unsafe. So there is always a sluice gate. So it is not necessary all the water will transfer through this turbine section only. So whatever be the excess water is there, it will transmit through this sluice gate also. And so that our sluice gate water supply, even though it is not utilized to generate a power, but it will help to increase water level in a tidal basin. This is called a tidal basin. Now this is talking about a high tide. Now suppose there is a low tide. So during low tide, we stop the gate of water enter to the turbine, because water level on the sea side is reducing. So we stop the entry. Now we observe that due to low tide, there is no water level. Now we allow a tidal basin side water to move out. So we open this side gate. So now tidal basin water will flow through this turbine and it will reach to the second side, and power generation take place. And this is continued till we have tidal basin water potential to run the turbine. Then next time again high tide will be there, so water will enter in the second side, it will fill the tidal basin. Then low tide, we use a tidal basin water to run the turbine. So in this way, using high tide and low tide, we are generating power. That is called tidal energy power plant. Now the next is geothermal energy power plant. As I said, under the soil level, there are number of levels, and somewhere below the soil, due to the molten core, we observe that whatever be the water sources are there, due to that molten core heat, it get heated, and we observe some energy sources in the form of hot water or high temperature steam gases. So what we did to utilize that, we drill that soil and reach to this source, energy sources, and this kind of plant is there. Then whatever with the hot water or steam is there, we use that steam or water and the water supplied get heated, converted into steam. That steam is used to run the turbine. Then power generation take place. Then generated power step up with the help of step up transformer unit, and then we shift to transmission various distribution point. Now what happen if we are using continuously these sources, then it will get exhausted. So whatever be the hot water source we obtain in a geothermal condition, so we use that hot water to generate a steam, and whatever be the exhausted hot water, we again supply back to that source. So due to the molten mass, again we obtain hot water. So we are using this geothermal energy to generate a steam, and that steam we use to run the power plant. Then this is the actual picture of a solar power plant, but this is a parabolic concentrator kind of solar power plant. So normally we observe that in a schematic there is one parabolic concentrator, but when we are talking about a solar power plant, so thousands of acres land, and that is a open land is required, and geographically we required such area where there is a high density of solar energy incident on a surface. You can observe that there is a few mans, 3 mans are standing here. So you can imagine what size of parabolic system is there. Correct? Next, this is a tower kind of solar power plant. So all these are ground level reflectors, and this is a center tower, and on this center point all reflected solar energy gets stored, and this is the bottom of this store where brine solution is there, and then hot brine solution will supply to the hot brine solution tank. Then from that we generate a steam, and steam is utilized to run the power plant. So this is a tower kind of solar power plant. This is another picture of tower kind of solar power plant. This is parabolic dish kind of solar harvesting. So solar concentrating or collectors. And this is a vertical windmill. Because whenever we talk about a windmill, so we have that 4 blades kind of windmill. But there are a variety of windmills, and this is a vertical axis windmill. And this is a hydro floating windmill, because we observe that there is a large wind flow energy is there in a sea level. So there is a floating kind of wind turbines are there, and with the help of that floating kind of winds turbine we can generate